In the heart of a frozen forest, where the wind never truly rests, there stood a small, aging cabin, barely holding itself together against the weight of winter. Inside that cabin lived an old woman named Anaya. Time had taken much from her. Her family, her youth, her strength. But it had never taken her will to survive. She lived alone. Except for one small companion, a quiet gray cat named Miko. Nights in the Siberian wilderness were not ordinary nights. They were long, cold, and unforgiving. But this night was different. The storm had arrived like a living creature, howling, clawing, shaking the very bones of the earth. Snow slammed against the wooden walls. The wind screamed through every crack. And even the fire inside the cabin trembled in fear. Anaya sat beside the flickering flames, wrapping her old shawl tighter around her shoulders. Miko curled beside her, purring softly, as if trying to convince the world that everything was still safe. But deep down, Anaya knew tonight was not a night of safety. And then it came, a sound, faint at first, then louder. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Anaya froze. Her eyes slowly lifted toward the door. No one should be out there. Not in this storm. Not at this hour. The scratching grew desperate, uneven, almost painful. Miko stood up, ears alert, staring at the door. Anaya reached for her rifle. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from knowing what might be waiting outside. Slowly, carefully, she walked toward the door. The wind roared as she placed her hand on the handle. And then she opened it. The storm burst inside like an explosion of ice and air. Across her face, and there, in the middle of the blizzard, stood something enormous. A tiger, a massive Siberian tiger. Its fur covered in snow. Its breath heavy, its eyes not filled with anger, but with pain. For a moment, time stopped. The predator and the human stared at each other, two beings from completely different worlds, connected by something neither of them understood. And then, the tiger collapsed. Its body hit the snow with a heavy thud. The rifle fell from her hands. She stepped closer, cautiously. its leg trapped in a cruel steel snare. Blood frozen against its fur. Every breath a struggle. This was not a hunter. This was a victim. Without thinking, Anaya bent down. "Come," she whispered softly. As if the tiger understood, it didn't resist. With all the strength she had left, she dragged the wounded giant inside the cabin. The door slammed shut behind them. Inside, silence returned. Only the sound of heavy breathing remained. Miko slowly approached, step by step. Until the tiny cat stood just inches away from the massive predator. And then, something unbelievable happened. The cat gently rubbed its head against the tiger's face. No fear, no hesitation. Just acceptance. The tiger closed its eyes by the firelight. Anaya began her work, carefully. Slowly, she cut through the steel trap. The tiger didn't roar, didn't fight. It simply endured, as if it knew that the hands touching it meant no harm. Hours passed. The storm outside raged on. But inside the cabin, something extraordinary was happening. Trust was being born. The wound was cleaned, wrapped. The tiger lay near the fire, breathing slowly now. Alive, Miko curled beside it, as if it had always belonged there. But nature wasn't done testing them yet. The wind grew louder, stronger, and then a deafening crack split the night apart. The roof of the cabin was torn away. Snow poured inside. The fire flickered, then died. The warmth vanished in seconds. Cold, brutal, merciless. Anaya didn't panic. She had faced winters like this before, and she knew one thing. Standing still meant death. Grabbing her shovel, she began to dig into the frozen earth, through ice, through pain, building a shelter beneath the snow. A small hollow, hidden from the wind, a trench for air, a tiny fire, struggling to breathe. One by one, she guided them inside. The tiger, weak but alive. The cat, silent but trusting. And there, in that fragile space between life and death, they came together. The woman, the cat, and the tiger, pressed against each other, sharing warmth, sharing breath, sharing life. The storm howled above them, but it could not reach what they had become. Hours passed, long freezing hours, until, finally, the wind began to fade. And when morning came, the world was silent again. Golden sunlight touched the snow as if nothing had ever happened. Anaya opened her eyes. She was still alive. Slowly, she looked beside her. The tiger stood there, no longer just a wild beast, but something more, something familiar. It leaned gently against her, not in weakness, but in gratitude. And above them, Miko climbed onto the tiger's back, sitting proudly, like it had found its place in the world. In that moment, there were no boundaries, no fear, no difference, only life, only connection. Because sometimes, family is not something you are born into. Sometimes, It is something you build in the coldest, darkest night, simply by choosing to care.